Hello, this is Debbie and Greg Gold, and welcome to the You Are Not Alone podcast, where we cover topics that will help you navigate life. And as Christians, we know that we can't do it alone. We need Jesus. We encourage you to join us on the journey that will help you begin or deepen your walk with Christ, no matter where you are.
Hello and welcome back to the You Are Not Alone podcast with Debbie and Greg. This week we're going to continue our discussion on the fruit of the Spirit. And if you remember the last episode, we talked about the fruit forbearance, kindness, and goodness. But first, it's going to be time for the highlights of the week. So, what were yours? What do you got?
Oh, hey everybody. I have two actually.
Okay.
That were my highlights. The first one, so I don't know what night it was, but anyways, I was we make homemade chicken tenders, and Greg wanted to know how to do it.
Yeah.
So Greg's really good at making tacos and the things that we do when we're young and starting out cooking, and he does that, or hamburger helper.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the simple stuff that's not too hard. But this was like an actual recipe. The first time he's done like a recipe. Well, around me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I could be lying. I don't know. So anyway, it was really great to see. It was just a deep joy. And if you're a mom, you probably get this. For me, just to see him accomplish a process. And he did so good. It was just very natural. It was just teaching him some little, tips. Like, we didn't have buttermilk, so you have to make
your own, yeah.
Milk. You mix milk with vinegar and let it sit for about 10 minutes, and then you have your cup of buttermilk. And so, anyway, it was just really nice to see him, accomplish a new task. And this is like one of those domestic skills that Greg will serve you well all your life, right?
Yeah.
And then over the weekend, I believe, made lasagna, and you were helping me put the layers together.
It up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, he's really a natural, so ladies, pay attention. Anyway, and then I have another one too. It kind of tickles me. We had stopped by one of our rentals, and I needed to get the name of the landlord to a house that was right next to us. Or is right next to us. And Greg and I were over there doing some things, and I heard some voices, so I ran over there real quick, and I was talking to the tenant, and it's mom and dad, and they have two young kids, like tiny, the ones that put fingerprints all over your windows and your doors. And so, we got to chat it up. I got the information I needed, but we were talking for a while, and it's just really sweet. So I reached out to her recently and just said, hey, are y'all looking for a church? And she's like, yeah, we haven't really landed on anything. And so I told her about our church. And then, of course, I shared our podcast stuff with her. But she's just super sweet. And so I invited her to go to church. And, we'll see how that works out. But, God was definitely working clearly in my day that day. So anyway, that just made me feel really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and then mine, at a house, we have no water. So I'd improvise because I wanted to go swimming.
Wait, no water in our lake.
Where we live, yeah. So
our cove is dry.
Our cove is dry right now, and I was getting off work, and I was like, I really want to go swimming. So last Friday, went swimming. That was amazing. And then I went Saturday again too. And then it was just nice to jump in the lake because it's been probably 3 years since I've jumped in the lake, something like that. So because we haven't had that water up to the dock and everything. Then I went fishing last night, caught a couple bluegills, which were like some smaller fish, but it was just nice spending.
How big are they about that?
I'd say, yeah.
So they're about
pretty small, probably 5-6 inches.
Yeah.
So, but it was just nice to finally jump in the water after a while and just spend some time in the sun, basically. So, yeah. So that's mine.
That's nice.
Yeah.
You went to a friend's house. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, it's that time of year, and it's starting to get hot, so you'll probably be doing that a lot more.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, okay, so, I just want to say, Saturday, remember we went to the pool party and we were playing pool, like, okay, pool party, like as in pool party at my friend Linda's house. And then she has the pool table and we played with Ryder. So she's having a pool party on Saturday. So
oh, cool.
Anyway, we'll be probably
doing that
in the water and playing pool. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'll see if I can win some money off Ryder, a little 5-year-old. Anyway, okay. Well, today we are, finishing up fruits of the Spirit. We're on the last 3, and those are faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. But we thought maybe it might be a good, because it's a lot of information, right? So we thought we'd just kind of run through just some of the highlights of each one, starting with the first one, which is love. And, this is, as a reminder, this is not referring to, loving our families, our spouses, our friends, because that's easy, right? It's about the people that are hard to, maybe not easy to love, let's put it that way. So just remembering that if we are wronged by somebody, that it's not healthy or godly to retaliate and try to get even. And I know I've done that before, but yeah, then you just feel not so good about yourself. So instead we were asked to bless them and to pray for them. So that is love. Our second one is joy. And joy can, the idea behind this one is that joy remains there even when there's circumstances that seem really terrible or gloom and doom. So this is a joy that doesn't come from the earthly things like, oh, I won the lottery, or, oh, I just got a new car, or, all these things. We just bought a house. It's more about this constant joy that we have regardless of what our situation is. Okay. And then the third fruit is peace. And this is a peace where God, it's with God, but it's also with other people. It's a peace during difficult times. And it's a tranquility that lives in our heart, and knowing and trusting that our times are in the hands of God. So when we're going through difficult times in our lives, and sometimes they feel like they've never quit. I've got a girlfriend, or they don't quit. That's a little bit how I feel sometimes with stuff going on with Dad and his illness. But I just got a call from one of my best friends over the weekend, and her husband are dealing with a lot of stuff right now, and she just texted me yesterday and said, I just, where's God? How come he's letting me go through this? And there's just a lot of hurt and a lot of pain, and she's worried about her future and all those things. And so just tried to encourage her that God's got this. Let's try to stay peaceful throughout this. And it's hard, really hard.
But it's just about trusting that your hands are in the name of God. Your times are in the hands of God.
Yeah.
So,
yes, exactly.
And that's what gives you peace from that. So
right, and I think that the theme I see here in all these fruits is it's all of these are related to God, but they're also related to the people in our lives and us and how we handle situations. Mm-hmm. So if that makes sense, does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, God wants us to be these things. He's doing what he's doing in our lives for a reason, unbeknownst to us. And, it just is. And so what we have to do is really just focus on how are we going to stay in the fruit of the Spirit. So it's hard. It's hard. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. All right. So the fourth fruit is, where'd it go? Here, forbearance. So forbearance is basically patience, right? It speaks to our ability to endure challenges, frustrations, and adversity with grace and composure. I need to memorize those two words: grace and composure.
Good words for sure. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it just enables us, to just get through difficult moments without giving into anger and despair. It calls for patience, and it's really a strength. People look at this as it could be a weakness, but it really isn't. It's a strength that allows us to trust in God's timing, knowing that His plan is perfect even when it's requires that we have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what it's called, faith. So
right.
And then the fifth fruit is going to be kindness. Kindness goes beyond mere friendliness. It is an active concern and care for others, even when circumstances make it challenging. Mm-hmm. So always checking in on people, seeing how they're doing, and just being caring and concerning for others.
Right.
So
exactly.
Some kindness in action is to extend grace, patience, and understanding to those around us, including those who may be difficult or unkind. So It's about lifting others up, offering encouragement, and creating an atmosphere of warmth and acceptance.
Yeah, I always think about when I am dealing with someone that's hard or difficult, to remember that I'm just not perfect either.
Mm-hmm.
I can be hard and difficult.
Right.
And so I would want someone to extend that grace to me,
mm-hmm.
as God does to all of us. So.
And you want to rise above the petty grievances and human shortcomings, because like you said, we're not perfect. None of us are perfect. So
yeah.
Just demonstrating instead the divine love that resides within us.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then the sixth fruit is goodness, and that is really basically moral integrity. I think this is one of my best ones that I do it the best. I do have high regard for being moral and have integrity and virtue, and this one comes easy to me. The other ones can come hard. So goodness calls us to live out our faith authentically, showing kindness and honesty and a genuine concern for others. And I think that's it for those six.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we should move on then to the next three fruits. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted watching the screen over here. Okay, so the next fruits. The last three are faithfulness, gentleness, and Greg?
Self-control.
Yay! Mm-hmm. Okay. So, faithfulness. Let's talk about that one first. This is faithfulness to not only God, but to all people. And when I think of faithfulness, I think of being reliable, loyal. And again, that one's a little bit easier for me too. I am a very loyal person. Faithfulness to God means trusting in Him and loving Him through all your circumstances, kind of what we've been talking about here. Also, it means following His commandments, even when we'd rather choose a different path. And, that's our flesh getting in the way. So, Greg, what comes to mind when you practice being reliable and loyal to God? And then what about people in general?
Being reliable and loyal to God is reading the Word every day, trusting in Him.
Ooh.
Showing up, going to church. You're just basically trying to please Him too, always being there. Loyal. And then people as well, being
nice.
Reliable and loyal for them. It strengthens the relationships for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that you can trust somebody completely, then I think it helps a lot. But yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, I was thinking definitely building trust with God and trust with other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when people come to see you as a reliable person, I think they call on you more. They rely on you for when they need something.
Exactly.
Or if, it's I know Greg, he's,
He'll show
he's
up
a good
and do
person.
it.
And you know what? I think I want to offer him a job, whatever. That's kind of how I got my job doing my work with Brad and Susan. It was someone knew I knew my character and knew what I knew and nailed the interview. And they said, I work with their books. So Brad said to me, he goes, we interviewed someone else and we really weren't sure that we could trust her. And he goes, clearly, I can, I feel no problem trusting you at all. And, that's nice. Really nice to hear.
Yeah.
So, okay, the eighth fruit is gentleness. Gentleness is often misunderstood as a weakness, right? It is actually a profound strength. It involves exercising care and compassion and humility in our interactions with other people. True gentleness reflects a heart that seeks to uplift rather than to demean, and to heal rather than to harm. And when we embody gentleness, we demonstrate the ability to control our emotions and respond with patience and grace, even in challenging situations. And I think of when I was putting this script together, I was thinking about I had just gotten an email from someone that was sort of, not nice. And I just, started typing, and I was like, do I really need to say that? That's what I said to myself. Do I really need to say that? And then I went delete, back.
You caught yourself,
right,
yeah.
I did. I caught myself. I was like, no, what's that going to do, right? And so I took that part out and looked at, putting out a solution to the problem and not blaming somebody or attacking somebody. And so hopefully that's maybe something that you can think about the next time you want to go off on somebody, right? Oh, shoot. Okay, so Greg, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How do you think that cultivating gentleness impacts our relationships with God and with others?
What's pleasing to God? I mean, it's like it said, it involves exercising care, compassion, and humility in interactions with others. So with God, that's extremely pleasing to Him. And then with others, I mean, if you're showing care, compassion, and humility, once again, it's going to build relationships with people, and then it's going to deepen your bond with them, I think.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, that's so true.
But yeah, no, I don't think it's a weakness at all, and it is a profound strength, like you said. So
yeah,
to heal rather than harm, and yeah.
Yeah, because, we all make mistakes and we all say things because maybe we're mad or whatever. And so how I look at that is that we don't fuel that. We diffuse it. So there's a difference between fueling it or diffusing it.
Here we go.
And the final fruit is self-control. So this is a gift that empowers us to rise above temptations of our fallen nature. It allows us to resist worldly influences and to discipline our desires, guiding our hearts and minds toward God's will. Self-control is not merely about denying oneself, but about aligning our actions with our higher purpose. It embodies a strength born of the Spirit, enabling us to say no to sin and yes to righteousness. Yeah, that's, again, I'm thinking of the devil and the angel or whatever on our shoulders. All right, Greg, question. How have you seen self-control transform lives, both in your own experiences and in those around you?
Self-control, I mean, just being more in control of your emotions, I think, is a really big one. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, you can choose to either get really mad or you can just choose to ignore them. Keeping your thoughts to yourself, possibly when somebody says something that you don't like, or just in a bad...
Hurtful.
That's hurtful, yeah. Or just trying to stay in a positive attitude. So always trying to stay positive. Yeah.
I think of when you were talking about that traffic thing, I think of Pastor Chris at church, and he's just really got this thing about traffic. He has issues.
Yeah.
And he talks about it, he laughs about it, he tries to work on it. And, so none of us are perfect, not even our pastors. Anyway, it makes me laugh. All right. Well, then how can we cultivate this fruit more intentionally in our daily walk?
Ooh. Resisting worldly influences, self-discipline too.
Yeah.
Those are the two I'd say, yeah.
I think that, really is that trying to catch yourself. And I think that by being in the Word every day, and like I like to do my time in the morning, that really just helps me get into a really good space. And I think my days go better, and I can control a lot more of this stuff when I do that. And so I think that's really important. All right. Well, that takes us to our takeaways for these three fruits. And the first takeaway for faithfulness, or the takeaway for that, is just being loyal and reliable to God and to the people in our lives. And with God, it means to trust God deeply and to love Him in all our situations, the good and the struggles. So that's faithfulness.
Second one's going to be gentleness. Remember, it's not a weakness. It's being caring, compassionate, and humbling. It's a highly sought after trait in every person, every man or woman. So
it really is. Self-control. This is what allows us to rise above temptation. Let the Holy Spirit allow you to resist worldly influences and to discipline our fleshly desires. Yeah, that's that whole worldly influence. That's tough. All right, so call to action. Go ahead and email us at youarenot.alone@debbieandgreggold.com. Tell us what you want to hear about, or maybe things that you're wanting to know or struggling with. We'd be happy to consider it for an episode. And please tell your community about us. Our numbers are just on a weekly basis going up and up and up, our listenership. And so we're really super excited about that. So share with your people. And then we are looking to bring our message to more and more people. And so we have added a listener support option at the bottom that will show up at the bottom of all show notes. So with one click, you can donate to support us. And then by supporting us, you are being the hands and feet of Jesus. And your generosity is helping us help others come to and continue to grow in their relationship with Christ. And we'd be so thankful and blessed that you would consider doing that for us. And I guess
that's our show for today.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this series for sure. Hope it wasn't too much information. It's very teachy.
If you haven't already done so, please visit our website at debbieandgreggold.com and make sure to subscribe. So,
all right, we'll see you back here next time, and thank you, God, for this episode. And remember that Jesus is always with you. You are not alone. And we love you. Take care.